welcome to another edition of News 6. This week, News 6 is brought to you by Miss Sampson and Mr. Rice's 6th grade classes at Hardin Northern Elementary School in Dola, Ohio. Later on in the show, we'll visit the only factory in the United States that supplies footballs for the National Football League and the United States Football League. We'll also learn what embryo transplant means and how this process is used by a local dairy farmer. And we'll also find out what it's like to fly upside down in an airplane. But first, Katie Hudson is going to talk to you about an unusual kind of garden. Katie?
Mrs. Sherry Pease of Dola, Ohio began to grow herbs as a hobby about 12 years ago. Now she has 2 herb gardens. One is called the Sauce Garden, and it contains more than 30 different cooking herbs. Her other garden, which is called the Physic Garden, contains over 80 medicinal and tea herbs. Mrs. Pease started her gardens because of her interest in the Shakers, a religious sect who used herbs for cooking and to make medicine. One Christmas she was given a Shaker cookbook. Many of the recipes called for herbs that she was unfamiliar with. Also, she couldn't find them in the store. So, she began to grow on her own, and in time, a few plants grew into her present gardens. Today, the gardens cover almost 1/3 of an acre and are open to the public from May 1st through November 1st. One of the most colorful herbs in Mrs. Pease's garden is the pokeberry plant. When it's young, the leaves can be used for salads. When the plant is mature, the berries are poisonous, but they can be used to make ink. Mrs. Pease has patterned her gardens after herb gardens that the Shakers kept. The herbs can be used for many things. One herb, called the penny royal, can be ground up and wrapped in cheesecloth to make a natural flea collar. Sage is an herb that can be brewed to make a relaxing tea. An herb called lemon balm can be brewed in water and then chilled to make a delicious lemonade. One plant in our garden is not used for medicine or cooking, but it is also a Shaker plant. It is called broomcorn. The Shakers used this plant to make the first flat brooms. Catnip is another non-edible herb, at least for humans. News 6 reporters found a volunteer to taste some. Herbs to be used in cooking need to be hung and dried inside, but some herbs can be hung outside as long as they are kept dry and in the shade. Mrs. Pease has a lath house that she built to dry some of her herbs.
Thanks, Katie. Now Lori Shepard will tell us about how a local dairy farmer uses embryo transplant to increase the number of cows. Lori?
Mr. Gene Wedderts has been using embryo transplants to increase his dairy herd since the fall of 1980. He decided to use the embryo transplant process because he owns a super cow named Farah. News 6 recently visited his dairy farm and met Farah. Mr. Wedderts explained that she is a super cow, and he also told us what embryo transplant means.
What does embryo transplant mean? It means we're taking a fertilized egg out of a cow at 7 days and putting it in a recipient to carry it till the calf is mature at 9 months. What we're trying to do is to get more offspring out of the super cows, is why we do embryo transplant. A super cow is a cow we feel that excels in milk production and type. What I mean by type is her conformation of how she's made up, what she does in the show ring, and how she will last on a dairy farm as far as on feet and legs, udder, and all conformation of the cow. So when we go with a cow that we feel is super, she has excelled for us at milking and also type-wise. This is an ET out of our first litter. We've got 3 cows out here out of that first litter milking. She's through an embryo transplant, was carried by a Holstein. The gestation period of a cow from that point is about 273 days, 280-day pregnancy on a cow normally. These embryos, most of them will calve at about that time within a few days before or after. In a 2-week period there, all our calves are born from embryos.
Thanks, Lori. Next, James Rader will tell us about a News 6 visit to a very special factory. James?
All of the professional football league balls are made in the small town of Ada in northwestern Ohio. News 6 toured the Wilson Sporting Goods Company and learned how footballs are made. The balls start as patterns on selected cowhides. The football patterns are stamped out with a press and a metal die. A similar machine is used to cut out the lining panels. 16 panels can be cut out at a time with this machine. Each leather panel is then cut or skived to a specified thickness by a continuously running knife. A lining panel is sewn to each leather panel, and then the leather panels are sewn together inside out on a heavy-duty lock stitch machine. Before they are sewn together, the lace holes have been punched out. The next step is to turn the football right side out. The football must be inverted on an iron post to do this. Then a valve-type bladder is put in and the football is laced. All of this is done by hand. With the bladder in, the football can be inflated and inspected. Here's where the National Football League balls and the other balls go their separate ways. If the ball meets the NFL specifications in quality, weight, and circumference, it is stamped with the NFL insignia. Approximately only 10 balls out of every 100 are sold to the pros. The rest of the balls are sold to universities and colleges, high schools, or to stores.
Thanks, James. And now with our last story, here's Donnie Appleton to tell us about a pilot who flies upside down for the fun of it. Donnie?
Clay Flynn does aerobatics as a hobby. When he is up in the air ready to do a stunt, he is about 3,000 feet above the ground. He recently demonstrated some of his stunts for News 6, and he explained how his plane operates and what makes it different from other small planes.
My name's Clay Flynn. I'm the county engineer here in Hardin County, and I think as most of you know, I just do this thing as a hobby. Let me start with the engine. It's a 150 horsepower Lycoming engine. The one thing it does make it suitable for aerobatics, it has an inverted fuel and oil system. On a normal airplane, if you would turn it upside down, you'd lose all your fuel. The engine would quit running. Plus, you'd lose all your oil pressure. Again, the engine would freeze up and quit. You'll notice different from most of them, this is operated with a stick. That little can up underneath there is the fuel tank. So when you are inverted, that's what feeds the engine. It'll run for approximately 2 minutes, inverted, and then you have to turn it back into a normal flight configuration in order to fill the tank back up. And then you can turn it over again and do it again. The airplane weighs about 1,260 pounds. It holds 40 gallons of fuel. While we're in aerobatic type flights, it burns about 8 to 9 gallons an hour, depending on how much you're on and off the throttles. It holds 40 gallons of fuel total. So you can fly 4 to 5 hours without a refuel.
That's all for today. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Join us next week when News 6 will be brought to you by Green Springs School in Green Springs, Ohio. We'll find out how the disabled learn to walk again and how the town of Green Springs got its name. We'll also visit a man who raises bees, and we'll talk with one of the town historians. Until then,